My friends, before we get into today's topic, I want to talk about two things. First off, school is back in session, so that's why I haven't been posting too many videos, at least as of recent. And the second thing is, my channel has seen some growth, particularly with hating on the gaming industry, whether it was talking about like Sweet Baby Inc. or Ubisoft, blah, 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 blah. And it's definitely got some traction. And although I am a gamer, I can recognize whether if the gaming industry or games in general are good. Because I'm a consumer at the end of the day. I'm the one who's going out of my way to buy video games because I want to have fun on whenever I get the chance to have downtime. And as of recent, particularly with Ubisoft, they've been going into the crapper, right? They've been pulling weird moves, trying to do X, Y, and Z to really make things like all about money on their end and hurt the consumers or even the developers. And with today's topic, Ubisoft, they've definitely made a big stink within 2024, at least, with telling us that we need to get comfortable not owning our video games and actually enacting on that by taking away the crew. But right now they are under the gun for something else, and that is Assassin's Creed Shadows, where they released a trailer not too long ago, and admittedly the trailer looked pretty good, despite the fact that it was CGI and that there was no gameplay whatsoever. But at the end of the day, they came out and said, hey, we're continuing this franchise, and we are doing it in all places, Japan. Oh my god, everybody's super excited because with whoever's still a fan of the franchise, I stopped being a fan after Unity, and the only reason why I got Unity is because my Xbox One came with it for free. So that's part of the reason why I've dropped out of the franchise. But everybody's super excited for who stayed in because, they've been going all over the world now. Unity was in Paris, all the other games were in America or Italy or some parts of Arabia, and now we've made finally our way to Japan, despite going through all the other places that we've been to, with the Nords or Greeks, Egyptians, what have you, right? But people are mad. Well, why are they mad? Well, they're mad because of their choice of characters that they've added. So the main one, Naue, is a female. And of course, people are going to be mad because there's a female character, which there was in Odyssey, if I recall, but I never played the game, so if it was bad, it was bad. But people are mad because they got Naue, and they're saying things about all that stuff with her and being a woman and all that. And then we got the other side of that coin, Yasuke, who, according to depending on who you talk to, is a samurai, or was a samurai, or was a retainer, or it apparently is up to debate, to the point where people are so mad, Reddit is exploding. Even the Wikipedia page for this guy was blowing up. There are so many revisions, to the point where there are hundreds of pages over the course of just talking about him in one day. It's definitely slowed down as of recent. There was only one revision as of today. But when you look at the 15th, holy crap, it was blowing up. People were insulting each other, telling people hey, you're doing something wrong here. You're telling lies. You're not, this isn't true. He was not a samurai. He was a samurai. Grammar Naziing, all that stuff. At the end of the day, if you're getting your source from Wikipedia, that's on you. You want to know who he actually is. Talk to an actual historian who studied Japanese culture and maybe even talked about who Yasuke was. I mean, if you want, go to Metatron or something. I know he just did a video talking about who Yasuke was and the debate behind him. Regardless, we have this guy who existed in Japan and apparently is being touted as a really legendary figure. He, granted, most people probably didn't even know who the hell Yasuke was until recently. So I don't know how legendary he is. I mean, I've known about him, granted, but I don't want to toot my own horn. I'm just saying, from my perspective, whenever I bring up the topic of Yasuke, most people don't know that he existed. And to claim that he is, at least according to Ubisoft's, a legendary and charismatic samurai is a bit extra. And that's where people are starting to speculate, oh, like Assassin's Creed has always been about history. It's always been historically accurate. How can you know if he was a legendary and charismatic samurai? How can you even know if he was a samurai? He was black. And here's what I'm going to tell you guys. If you guys thought that Assassin's Creed was historically accurate, you've got something wrong with your brain, because last I checked that there were things going on with Assassin's Creed, at least in the earlier ones, where there was like magic going on, and George Washington wanting to become a king because he had a dream that he ate the apple from the Garden of Eden. That I'm going to tell you right now, this game is not historically accurate. This game is historical fiction. Now, let's make the distinction. Historical accuracy is a one-to-one representation of what happened in history. Historical fiction is, it can take place during historical times, but a lot of what's happening within the story isn't true to what has happened in that point in history. Let's go with Assassin's Creed 3, since I brought up George Washington wanting to become a king because he ate an apple from the Garden of Eden. You are playing as a Native American man who is an assassin during the Revolutionary War, and you have conversations with George Washington. You are his, essentially, confidant. And during that game, you realize not a lot of stuff here is accurate. George Washington wouldn't really be talking to Indians, though yes, maybe in some point in time he would, but not during the Revolutionary War, especially with assassins. He was too busy losing so many battles. He was too worried about keeping his men alive and the morale going, because kind of he was an incompetent leader, but hey, you know, I'm not trying to bash on the good old George Washington, first president of the United States. I'm just trying to spit the facts here. He was not that good of a general, but he just got lucky a lot of the times. But he didn't get a lot of his luck because of a Native American assassin who was somehow associated with the Templars. This is not historical accuracy. This is historical fiction. And with that, they seem to have kept that historical fiction throughout most of their games, and this is probably part of it. Yasuke being in this story is historical fiction. He himself is not fictional. He is a real person. He was a real person. But what he represents in this game is an embellishment, is something beyond historical accuracy for whatever their purpose may be. And I'm going to tell you right now, we all know what the purpose is for having these characters in for this game. There's no racism or anything involved in it. We all know what it is, and I'm not going to say the word because everybody knows what exactly it is. But here's the thing. Despite all the hoopla about Yasuke and being a samurai, and you get to play as him, and Naoe, a female shinobi assassin. And I want to make this clear too. There are definitely people where they make justifiable arguments for this, and particularly the Japanese fans, where they said that they finally get a game that's representing Japan, but the characters that you play as are not representative of Japanese people. That is a valid argument, in my opinion. They definitely have a say on whether if this game is something that they would want to purchase because it's taking place on their home turf with their culture and is being represented by at least half of that side is not representative of who they are. Now, the real argument is not all this race stuff. You can make your arguments whether if you think Naoe is a good representation of an assassin because she's a woman, or Yasuke because he's black, whatever your argument may be. If the game is good, the game's going to be good. And people are not going to complain because this guy happens to be a black samurai. People aren't. Because that's the thing. Games that are good, games that function well, games that have good stories, games that are written well, all this stuff will pass. Will people who argue all this stuff not buy the game initially? Of course they won't buy the game initially. Will people who are genuine racists not want to play this game at all? Of course they're not going to play this game at all? Will people who have been stung by Ubisoft too many times with the Assassin's Creed franchise because of how it's been plummeting over and over with every release that they've had be not interested in playing this game? Of course they're not going to be interested in playing this game. But if the game is genuinely fun and people come together and say, hey, this is actually a really good Assassin's Creed, we haven't had this in a long time, then maybe it might bring some people on board. But with that aside, we still have this problem of race and main characters and diversity and all that. But I'm here to tell you, this is not the real problem. This is all smoke and mirrors. This is a red herring. The real issue is what they are doing with the game, how they're charging it, and how you are able to attain it. Now, we look at their main website, and we can see, oh, well, how much does it cost to get this game? Well, if we look at exactly the price point of what it takes to purchase any version of this game, keep in mind, they've already done this before with the most recent Star Wars game that they just released. They're doing it again with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And if you complained about the new Star Wars game and how they're basically paylocking most of the content that should be base, you should be mad about this too. Okay, we have 4 different price points that we see here. We've got the $70 version, which is still sad that games are $70, but you know, they won. Who cares, right? Base game with the standard edition, and then if you pre-order the game, you get to have an additional mission. Wow, that's so awesome. For $70, that's crazy. But hey, look, there's another version for $30 more, or not even $30, it's $40. You get to play the game 3 days earlier. That's crazy. Wow. If I spend $40 more than the base game, I get to play the game 3 days early. What a steal. And I get a season pass. Wow, a single player game gets a season pass where you get a bonus quest on the first day and additional unlockable content, as well as 2 upcoming expansions. Okay, wow, I guess $40, that's worth it. Oh, $130. So you're telling me for an additional $60, I get everything in the gold edition, and I get this ultimate pack. Well, what's in this ultimate pack? Okay, Sekiryu character pack, including gear and weapon sets for both Naoe and Yasuke, the Sekiryu beast, and Dragon Tooth trinket. Wow, so cosmetics. Cool. The Sekiryu hideout pack includes 4 unique ornaments to customize the hideout for your Shinobi League. Whatever that means. 5 skill points. Oh my god, I get 5 free levels. That's crazy. By spending an extra $20 on top of the $40 that I paid for the gold edition, I get 5 additional levels. And then a Rad Dragon filter in photo mode. What? Okay, so they have a theater mode, and you can get an additional filter. It's basically the freaking Starfield update where you get to smile when you take a picture, except now everything gets to be fucking red. For $60. That's wild. Here's the thing. They don't expect you to pay that much. Because if you look immediately to the right, which is the best tactic that I can do from a marketing standpoint, you get all of that for $18 a month if you subscribe to Ubisoft Plus. Oh, okay. So I can get everything. I can play this game 3 days earlier if I pay $18 for 1 month access. They're going to be banking on you for paying this price. They want you to join Ubisoft Plus because most people who join a subscription service tend to forget that they are on a subscription service unless if they know for the forefront that when they purchase it that they immediately cancel it, or if they have something like Rocket Money to keep them in track. Because over the course of 5 months, they would get more money than what you would have paid for the standard edition. And guess what? You don't own the game, because as soon as you relinquish subscription service under your name, you no longer have access to this game. And guess what? If you pay for the physical version of this game, you might have a problem too. Now, we look at GameStop, we see their version for the PlayStation, and if we look at Amazon, we can also see that On the Xbox version, they both say something on the bottom right of their physical copy. Internet required to install this game. Now, in one of my previous videos where I talked about game preservation, one of the things that I said was that physical copies are no longer going to be able to be enough to preserve the game. However, the issue is that in today's age, most games have this live service mechanic to where it's persistently online, to the point where even a physical copy is not immune to the effects of it being online only. So we need to have another layer on top of preserving games beyond just owning the game and popping the CD in and hoping that you connect to a server. Now, granted, they've already come out and said, or at least I've seen in multiple sources, that you only need internet to download the game, but once you've downloaded the game, then you can play it however you want, offline or whatever. But this is still an issue, because all this is a slippery slope to leading towards something that eventually may become the worst case, which is needing a persistent online connection to be able to play this game. It already is an issue, because though I'm pretty sure most people who have a modern console do have some form of PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, when you purchase this game, you need to have an internet connection. And for those people who have an Xbox or have a PlayStation, I mean, I have a PlayStation 4 back there. I don't have a PlayStation Network account. So if I wanted to buy the PlayStation version of this game, granted, this I think is only for the modern consoles. So PlayStation 4 and Xbox One people, I'm sorry, you're not getting this game. You need to get the next generation of consoles. But either way, if you don't have a PlayStation Network or Xbox Live account and you buy the physical copy of this game, you're not going to be able to play it. You need to have an internet connection to be able to play this game. So basically speaking, you're not going to be able to preserve the copy if you don't have any form of internet to download this game. Now, maybe in some bleak future where this game got the shit end of the stick and is being treated like Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and then they stop distributing keys to install this game, even if you have a physical copy, then this game won't be able to be preserved. If I went to GameStop and bought a physical copy of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they stopped giving out download codes to be installed onto my disc, then my disc is utterly useless. There is no point for me to be able to play this game. It's not preserved unless if somebody made some form of a pirated version. Now, it being on the PC is a different issue, right? We have copies out, they have keys, we have internet connection already to be able to download and install this game. But it being Ubisoft, at any point they could just rip it off the shelves and you have no say on whether if they want to keep this game in your library. They did it with The Crew. They would do it with Assassin's Creed Shadows unless if something changes. And if they do, your physical copy may not be enough to preserve the game if you haven't downloaded it on your console. So, this is the real problem. All the racial stuff about Yasuke, all the feminist stuff about Naoe, those are problems in their own right. And the people who have legitimate arguments over this situation have their piece. The Japanese people feeling unrepresented, and then the people seeing through Ubisoft knowing what exactly they're trying to do by having these be the main characters in an environment that doesn't really represent them. But the real issue is not all this. The real issue is what they are planning to charge you, what they are willing to give you, how they're trying to rope you into their subscription service to ensure that you are comfortable not owning your game, to the point where even if you got a physical copy, you might not be safe from being able to preserve your title. Ubisoft is doing what they can, little by little, to be able to tell you you don't own your game. And by putting up this big blanket of diversity over it, people are eating that while this kind of stuff is going to the wayside unharmed. And if this type of methodology continues, they will continue to treat us this way. So open your eyes. I don't want to sound conspiratorial. I have a hat, but this is not a conspiracy theory hat. But this is what I'm seeing. And I feel like a lot of people do share this mentality too. I've seen a couple of YouTubers that talk about this kind of stuff, and I agree. And I wanted to talk about it, but, school. But here I am bringing it up now for those of you who will see this video. If you like this kind of stuff, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want more things like this. I will catch all of y'all later. Peace.